let me introduce you to the Work Ready program. So the Work Ready program is running from December of last year to December of this year. And the purpose of the program is twofold. One is to help those affected by COVID-19 get a job. And the second is to help those who already have a job to improve their work situation. And we're doing that by giving you information for creating a sustainable career path. So Work Ready does three different things. Number one, we're lending out laptops out of we're lending out laptops out of 20 library locations, way more than three. And all you have to do in order to get a laptop is to go on the Work Ready website, lacountylibrary.org/work-ready, or just go to lacountylibrary.org and right in the middle there it says Work Ready. Click on that, fill out the form. It's like 5 questions, takes 2 seconds to fill out, and we'll assign you a laptop at one of the participating libraries. The second way we're helping folks with jobs is this very thing. During each of our 6-week sessions, we're lending out or we're producing live events just like this one on a variety of work-related topics. So last week we covered learning. Today we're going to cover the America's Job Centers of California. And moving forward, we're going to have programs for veterans. Next week we have Ask a Career Coach, which I'll tell you a little bit more about later. And the third way that Work Ready is helping folks is we're buying the latest and greatest books about job seeking and any career related topics, from exam prep to resumes and cover letters to career planning. And you can get those either at the library in person. You can place them on hold and have them delivered to any of our library locations at lacountylibrary.org, or you can go and get ebooks so that you can get them without even leaving your chair. And that's the Work Ready program. And now I would like to introduce you to our speaker. He works for the department WEDAX, which he'll describe to you in a moment. And I just want to say that when we were first talking about the topic for today's program, which are the variety of services that the AJCCs offer, I was just blown away. And I think that if you're here and you stick with us, you're going to get something very useful for you today, because the AJCCs have such a variety of free services available for job seekers. It's amazing that more people don't take advantage of what they offer. And so let's get to it. Without further ado, I'm going to introduce to you Christian Villanueva, who's going to be telling us about how to train for, find, and land a job with the AJCCs.
Thank you so much, Oleg.
There you go. Perfect.
Okay. So again, my name is Christian Villanueva. I am with the Department of Workforce Development, Aging, and Community Services. As you can tell, that's quite a mouthful, so we often are referred to as WEDAX. We administer the America's Job Centers of California, or the AJCCs, as I'll refer to them throughout today's presentation. A little bit about myself. I've been in the workforce development space, basically the employment and training space here in LA County for about 7 years now, just over 7 years. First working with, prior to WEDAX, I was working for a couple of different organizations that provided business outreach and business services, as well as case management services, and actually working at one of these LA County AJCCs. So I've worked in person with businesses, with job seekers, and everything in between, education providers, and kind of the variety of different things you'll see here in the presentation today. So without further ado, I'll get started. So first thing is, what is an LA County AJCC? Well, the Los Angeles County America's Job Centers of California are the county's one-stop resource. Uh, we like to call them one-stop, and as Oleg mentioned earlier, there is such a variety of services available for both residents and businesses. There are career coaches on site, there are business services representatives on site, there are all sorts of resources that are available for you to access, again, completely free, completely no cost. Um, we just need from you the motivation and the will to find that job. If you're willing, we can help you out. So we have these LA County AJCCs all around the county. In fact, there are 21 LA County AJCCs across the region, as well as other locations that are associated with the AJCCs that still provide that aren't quite that still provide that same breadth of services. So they offer these specialized employment services at some of these locations. But nonetheless, there are 21 LA County AJCCs, two of which are actually on the campuses of East Los Angeles College. Those are actually only available to ELAC students, but you can definitely feel free. And if there is an ELAC course that you're interested in taking, you can definitely enroll with the AJCC there. And I'll talk a little bit more about that relationship um, and a little bit more about some of the uh, available resources. I'm seeing some chats pop up, and um, we'll take a break a little bit later to get into some of the questions. Let's see. And so one of the things, again, that variety of services, one of the things that really supports these AJCCs are our partners. Honestly, the AJCCs could not be a one-stop resource without some of the partners you see here, as well as the many other partners that we have. We have state partnerships with EDD and Department of Rehabilitation at some of our locations. They're actually located on site. So that means there are staff members from these agencies willing to help you out with the specific needs you might have. For instance, we have a really strong relationship with EDD. So oftentimes, if you're finding yourself uh, needing to collect unemployment or wanting to apply for that unemployment insurance or disability insurance, these agencies can help you out. We have strong relationships with other county departments as well, including DPSS and Child Support Services. So for those residents who are in need of assistance with their child support payments or coming up with a plan, or are public assistance recipients, or even just applying for public assistance, those partners are there as well. And as you can see, probation, DCFS, high school diploma and GED providers, even just for those who are looking to take that next step in their education. The reason that the AJCCs are one-stop resources is because of these partnerships. Ultimately, we understand that getting a job is not just about your resume or your interviewing skills, or a LinkedIn profile. A lot of times, getting a job is making sure you're taking care of the other components in your life, the other aspects, to make sure you are fully supported so that you can start searching for your job and concentrate and focus only on searching for a job. And so our AJCCs really take a lot of pride in that. We aren't looking for people who are just job ready. We're open to everyone, but we're really reaching out to those individuals who may have those additional barriers, who need more support than just a quick resume review, or someone who has all the tools already. So AJCCs offer help to all and reach out to specific populations, including laid off workers. Uh, Particularly relevant now, there have been a lot of layoffs over the past year. Um, so we have special programs for individuals from this population. We have special programs for youth, including current and former foster youth. These youth, a lot of times, may not have any idea about the world of work and may just need that foundational support. Professional development, building up those soft skills, not those hard technical skills that you need for a specific job, but those soft skills, stuff like conflict resolution, financial literacy, showing up to work on time, little things like that. That's what we're really trying to build, and we're trying to build for that next generation of LA County residents. We have programs for justice involved individuals, individuals who may have a background There's a huge push right now to educate employers about the benefits of hiring from this population. Uh, so we have actually a Fair Chance campaign, which informs and educates businesses about that. So we also have career coaches specially trained in this area to work specifically with individuals from this population. We have programs for individuals experiencing homelessness. We understand that um, some people may be facing housing instability and um, have other needs beyond, again, just the job. So there are programs for that. We have some programs for aging residents as well. Um, Anyone who's 55 and older might need a specific type of assistance with their resume and a specific type of assistance with finding a job. Programs for individuals who are long-term unemployed. I know that one of the biggest challenges in experiencing uh, in the job search is when you have a major gap in your resume. So career coaches at the AJCCs can help you navigate that, help you learn how to answer those questions, help you create a resume that fills in that gap or really just puts your best foot forward. And then even individuals looking for a career change or something that I didn't put on the slide is, or even career advancement. If you're an individual or a resident who feels stuck at their job or who feels that they really just want to advance, but maybe they don't have the skills or the certificate um, or whatever it might be, that license, the AJCC system can help you get to that next level. So really, this is just a sampling. I want to again emphasize that the AJCCs are open to everyone. Even if you don't fall into one of these categories, if you come into the AJCC, there is likely a program for you or a resource for you that can help you get some help. So with that said, I do want to get into a couple of different stories. The typical path for some individuals who might come into the AJCC. These are actually based on real life stories. So these are things that have actually happened for individuals and the ways that we've actually assisted individuals. But again, there is no cookie cutter approach. Every resident, every individual is completely different. So we understand that, it isn't one size fits all. And I think that's really the theme of this. And so we'll get started with something particularly relevant. So let's start off with a county resident named Sarah. Sarah was recently laid off because, like many other businesses in LA County, the COVID-19 pandemic just hit that business hard. And so Sarah was actually um, approached by, learned of her AJCCs because of our rapid response team. We have a rapid response team that visits businesses around the county that are facing layoffs and or closures, and for those businesses where layoffs are inevitable. So these rapid response staff actually go on site or virtually and hold orientations to let these affected workers know about some of the resources out there, not just for the AJCC, but about COBRA and health insurance, about unemployment insurance, and just the benefits available. So through this orientation, Sarah learns about her AJCC and she wants to give it a shot. First things first, Sarah says, I need to collect unemployment insurance. I cannot live here in LA County without income. So because she visits an AJCC with our EDD partners on site, they actually assist her with the application for unemployment insurance. In fact, in some cases, Sarah works on a somewhat of a commission basis and sometimes gets bonuses. So she has some questions about how to fill out her income, how to fill out her job history on that application. There are staff members from EDD at that AJCC who help her completely and answer all of her questions about applying for unemployment insurance. And within a few weeks, it gets approved and she begins receiving that unemployment insurance. But Sarah understands that one, unemployment insurance doesn't last forever, and two, that she doesn't want to quite just be at home and collect unemployment insurance. She wants to get ready and get to that next job. So she goes straight to, she asks about that when she's at the AJCC and actually gets connected with a career coach. So given her experience and having this next stage of her life ready to go, her career coach actually maps out her next steps by first assessing her skills and interests. Um, One of the things that the AJCCs do for just about any job seeker is a career assessment. They want to see where she's at, what her interests are, especially for those looking for a career change or looking for their next opportunity. Um, they want to assess those skills and interests. Now, because she was laid off due to COVID-19, she actually qualifies for a special job, uh, a special program where she's actually placed in a transitional job opportunity. So, because of this program, the AJCC is actually able to get her to work within the week, working in a transitional job. Now, keep in mind that because she'll be collecting wages, her unemployment benefits would be put on hold, but she is able to get to work and collect those wages. Slightly more than unemployment. So she's working, she's collecting wages. It is a time limited opportunity. It is a transitional job. So she's not going to be able to work there forever, but she's happy that she doesn't have to just stay at home. She's eager and she's also collecting income. But she also knows that once this is over, because of her connection with EDD, she will be able to resume her unemployment insurance following the completion. But she hopes it doesn't get to that point. And to make sure it doesn't get to that point, her career coach works with the business services representatives on site who are out there connecting with local businesses and finding those job opportunities. The career coach works with her to polish her resume and practice her interviewing skills. And meanwhile, the business services representative working with the businesses and finding out what their needs specifically are and what they're looking for are working with the career coach to tell the career coach how to create the perfect resume for those businesses. And based on her skills and interests, her career coach um, and the business services rep are working together to craft that perfect resume and find those perfect openings. And with that, before her transitional job opportunity ends, because of her perfect resume, she sends it out to all these different businesses, and eventually one of them hires her back. It's a full-time job, it's a permanent job. And like that, she's back on her feet with barely any interruption in her wage collection or her income. She collected unemployment, she started working that transitional job, and now once again, she's working a permanent job. So next, I want to talk a little bit about Carlos, who's a 17-year-old resident of LA County. As we mentioned earlier, we have programs for individuals who are ages 14 to 24. And so Carlos is right in this demographic. He's a little bit lost. He just uh, recently graduated high school. Not necessarily sure college is right for him, but he knows that he needs to get to work. He wants to collect income. He's eager to do that at the very least. So through a friend, he hears about a job. He hears about a friend who started a new job at a local business. Um, and this local business happens to be in a growing industry. He doesn't quite know that it's a growing industry because he hasn't connected with the AJCCs, but uh, this local business, based on our metrics and something we can talk about a little bit later, it is in a growing industry. And that's something that we try to place individuals into, is these growing industries here in LA County. So he hears about his friend who's working. His friend tells him to go to the Youth at Work page and complete an interest form. This interest form actually will automatically refer him to his nearest AJCC. He fills it out, he answers the question, really brief, doesn't take him more than 10 minutes, and it automatically sends a notification to his nearest location, and it sends him an email as well saying, confirming that he's completed it. And when from there, the AJCC staff member getting that notification reaches out to Carlos via phone, and they set up an appointment for Carlos to come into the AJCC to learn more. So the career coach, seeing that Carlos is a 17-year-old resident, identifies that he's perfect for the Youth at Work program. So the career coach says this Youth at Work program is going to allow you uh, a chance to get temporary work experience. And Carlos, never having had worked, is really excited. This is his chance to collect his first paycheck and get his own income and his own money. Through this program, Carlos again completes an assessment, as we do with all the residents here at LA County. And this temporary work experience program actually requires 20 hours of professional development training up front. So again, Carlos is going to learn all about the ins and outs of the world of work, uh, learn professional development, soft skills, and get exposure to career. This is where he actually can find out about the different industries in LA County, different occupations, and find out what he might be interested in. Again, he's just graduated high school, so he's not quite sure exactly what he wants to do. So he gets placed and he completes this 20 hours. And following that, because of the agreements these AJCCs have with different work sites around the county, Carlos is sent to this work site and he begins working immediately. And while he's working here, the AJCC staff member is following up with Carlos, checking in to see how he likes it. They have a supervisor liaison at the business who is, and they're also getting feedback on Carlos. This supervisor is also providing, signing off on Carlos's timesheets, and really just working all three of them together to make sure that this is a great fit for Carlos and to get feedback and potentially take note about what Carlos should work on and to see if he likes it. So they all work together. And once this temporary work experience program is over, he goes back to his career coach, and this career coach helps him find more education and training opportunities to grow. Again, Carlos maybe not quite ready for college, so he's just ready. He loved working. He actually liked working for that business, and he wants to grow a little bit more. And so what the career coach does is they help him determine that his next step is actually to obtain a state certification in a growing industry here in LA County. He realizes that he wants this kind of job, but realizes that he's gonna need special certificates and licenses to get his foot in the door. So his career coach says, you know what, let's get you that certificate. We're gonna enroll you in a few other programs and get you connected to a few other services, all in-house at the AJCC, all completely free, that are actually going to pay for his training and pay for his licensing fees and get him started on that career pathway. So again, all in-house, Carlos has collected wages, and now he's actually having his job training and his certificate training paid for by the AJCC. And so something else that's just far too common here in LA County, we have Christina. She's long-term unemployed, and she might be facing housing instability. Um, so she needs a source of income, plain and simple. She's ready to go on that. Uh, because of her housing instability, she's actually working with a local community-based organization, which again works closely with the AJCC. Again, each of these AJCCs, in addition to the partners listed up front, is really embedded in their communities. They work with local community-based organizations. They work with local faith-based organizations, really because the strength of the AJCC is in its partners and these connections that they've developed. So because the local CBO has worked with the AJCC, they've connected with the AJCC, and they connect Christina with the AJCC for the resources and unemployment insurance or employment assistance. Again, because she's facing housing instability, the AJCC staff is able to place her also in a temporary work experience program with a local social enterprise. And the AJCC is working with that social enterprise, which is a socially driven business or a socially driven organization trying to do good in the world. And this helps her after, this helps her being long-term unemployed, this helps her just get back in the habit of work, helps her develop some of those skills, gets her back into a nice routine. She's also collecting income, which again is usually the best part of work, and is getting her feet wet again. She's been long-term unemployed and she's phasing out housing instability. However, of course, she is still facing a little bit of housing instability, a little bit of insecurity there. So her career coach at the AJCC is working with a variety of local housing organizations to find her permanent residence, connecting her to resources and whatnot. And meanwhile, because she's been long-term unemployed and facing this housing insecurity, she's really not collecting a completely stable set of income. So her career coach at the AJCC is able to connect her with supportive services. This is essentially financial aid for Christina, and so she's able to pay for things such as transportation. So she has this temporary work experience program at a social enterprise, and they're actually able to help her out with some bus tokens or a Metro card or a gas card, all of which can help her get to that job and make sure she is reliable. And now, working for this social enterprise, she actually has a set of references, um, from her supervisors at the social enterprise. She has a reference from her career coach. And so Christina's career coach not only is working with local housing organizations, not only is getting her supportive services, but has also been working with the business services reps and also been looking for jobs for Christina. And so Christina's career coach is able to match her with a local business. The local business does have some questions about her long-term unemployment, uh, but because uh, Christina's career coach and the supervisor at the social enterprise are able to vouch for her and say, look, for the past few months, Christina has been showing up on time. She's a reliable employee and she's a hard worker. All those businesses' questions are answered and is willing to take on Christina. And Christina then finds this job. She's hired full time. And the career coach, the relationship doesn't actually end there. The career coach is still working to make sure that she's going to be able to retain that job and keep that job. Meanwhile, is also continuing to work with those local housing organizations to find that permanent residence. But because of this income, Christina is able to get a little bit more together. Um, she has these references who can vouch for her, and now she has a job, and now she finally was able to secure an apartment and is able to continue. So we'll go back a little bit. As remember, there were some individuals who we had put that were just ready for a career change. So let's take, for instance, Alex here. And he just feels limited at his current job and wants to find a more fulfilling career. He feels that he's sort of limited at this organization. It's a relatively small organization, and he's just doesn't really feel there's much room for growth, both professionally and even personally. He's just the type of person who wants more out of his career and just wants to do more. So through this, he happens to be attending his, church service, and he hears about a workshop at his local AJCC regarding the local labor market. One of the great things about the AJCCs is they're consistently also, even for those people who aren't part of programs, they're just holding workshops open to the public for the community because everyone needs a different level of service. So a lot of times they'll hold workshops on LinkedIn. They'll hold workshops on the local labor market here, and they'll hold workshops on a variety of topics. So this one's about the local labor market and about high growth industries here in Los Angeles County. Here, he learns about some of the most in-demand occupations, some of the most in-demand skills that businesses are looking for. He hears about the industries that are growing, and he hears about all of those things, even within the context of the COVID-19 pandemic. Because of that, we recently commissioned an organization to do a study and to find what's going to be the best path for LA County as a whole to recover from this pandemic. So they've identified those industries, those occupations, and even those skill sets that are required that are going to be in demand on this path to recovery. So he attends this workshop, he learns all this information, and while he's at the AJCC, he sees that there's a resource room, which is, again, open to the public. They're self-service. They are staffed by an AJCC staff member, to just provide general assistance if you need it. But really, they are mostly self-service. So Alex can start using these computers because he learned all this information and he wants to know more. So he starts using the computer to just do Google searches and to look up information on these industries and the companies in the area in these industries and occupations. He also wants to check his email, maybe print a few things out to take home. All of those things are possible at the resource room at our AJCCs. So while he's on the computer, he finds a career that he's really interested in. And then he asks the person who's staffing that resource room, about his next step. And the staff member in that resource room says that, you know what, let's connect you to a career coach to really help develop this plan for you. So this career coach, Alex comes to this career coach and says, this is the position I want. This is the industry. This is where I want to go next. Now, the career coach really appreciates Alex's eagerness and his drive and his willingness, but the career coach would not be doing their job without first conducting a comprehensive assessment. Because even though Alex might have done the initial research, the career coach is doing this assessment to really make sure it's going to be a long-term fit. Again, those skills, those interests, those abilities, to make sure this is actually something that would match career, because the career coach is really trying to find that match, because the last thing that they want to do is have someone show up to the AJCC, get sent to a job, and then within 3 to 6 months say, you know what, this isn't really for me, and end up back at the AJCC. The last thing the AJCC wants is a repeat customer. So unlike a staffing agency or a typical business, the point of the AJCC, the career coach wants that interaction or that ongoing interaction to be the very last interaction, because they're hoping that by the end of this experience, you'll have found the perfect job on a sustainable career pathway. So they conduct this comprehensive assessment, and then they determine it's actually a match for the individual. So they find out it's a match. And so the career coach understands and sits with Alex and says, all right, let's develop this individualized employment plan for you. Again, it's not one size fits all. So they're going to sit down with Alex, set forth some goals to reach it, which are obviously the ultimate goal being to find a job in this industry that they want, but also the education, and then the objectives for each of those goals to make sure that Alex can check off each of these boxes as he accomplishes these objectives, which are then accomplishing the goals, which are ultimately all leading him down that path to his perfect career. And then finally, um, not finally, but the career coach then connects with one of those business services representatives who are on site, who's been working with local employers. Now, while this is happening, the business services rep working with this local business has had this position open, for a while now. It's actually the position that Alex wants, but the business is actually having trouble finding people who are qualified and willing. So the employer lets the business know about something called an on-the-job training. And that is a situation where the wages are partially subsidized by the AJCC for the business. Now, this business has a very specific, is in a very specific industry and is in a very specific, it's a very specific occupation. These aren't the type of skills that you can learn in school. As many of you know, businesses often have uh, requirements that are not things that you necessarily learn in school. You're trained for at the business. So the career coach works with the business services rep and says, you know what, we have this person, Alex, who's actually a perfect fit for this business or for this occupation. He would be fresh because he's actually making a career change, but based on his interests and his skills and abilities, he would be a great match. Obviously, the business is incentivized because they know that some of their wages are going to be subsidized for this. So they get connected. And Alex actually, without having to go and take an entirely new course or take a new class, is actually connected directly to the business for this on-the-job training opportunity. And Alex is learning the specific skills required by that employer. And then after 3 months, the supervisor and Alex are both working with the business services rep and the career coach, all working together as a team to make sure that Alex is progressing, to make sure it's a good fit. And as he learns these skills, after 3 months, uh, the business is able to hire on Alex full time. And our last story is going to be Whitney, who's really looking for a fresh start. Whitney is actually currently on probation. Um, she has a probation officer, but really she just wants to find a new career, join the workforce, get back to work, contribute, and just get back on her feet and just, you know, uh, set her career pathway. Her probation officer connects her with the local AJCC for employment and training opportunities. Again, this is where that strong partnership with the probation department really helps out. Again, gets connected with a career coach who's working um, for a specific program. And in that program, that career coach has been specially trained to work with uh, individuals with backgrounds with a background such as Whitney, and provide intensive case management services. Understanding this is not the same as someone who's recently been laid off or who's been working for the past 10 years or has a college degree or whatever it might be. Again, a variety of different things. So they've been specially trained. They were required to complete this course and take the tests to pass the course to work with this population, and specifically to work with Whitney. Through this program, conducting a variety of assessments to see where Whitney's at, not only in terms of skills and interests, but also in terms of her barriers. Um, Whitney then gets placed in a transitional job. Many of our programs have that component where they can actually get placed in a transitional job. So Whitney's able to begin collecting income immediately. Simultaneously, the career coach is mapping out her employment plan, similar to what the career coach did for Alex, setting goals and objectives and the different steps it's going to require for Whitney to move forward. And meanwhile, also like Christina, helping her out with supportive services. Uh, that could be just a gas card or a Metro card to help her get to work. Maybe Whitney has a few utilities that she's having some issues with here and there. Whitney also is getting some help with those utilities. Um, that's what the supportive services is for. As long as it's tied to a job search and a job activity, that's what the supportive services are for mostly. And following the completion of the transitional job opportunity and identifying the perfect career for Whitney working with a career coach, um, Whitney is then placed um, into a job training for an in-demand occupation. The career coach finds the school. Actually, the career coach might have found a few schools in the area that train for the perfect career, but not necessarily with an employer yet, but actually training providers. Works with Whitney to explore each of these different schools and determine the best fit. And Whitney gets placed into this job training at one of these training providers, which is fully paid for by the AJCC. Again, nothing out of pocket for Whitney. Um, and also, again, still helping out with supportive services and helping her get transportation. And then meanwhile, Whitney is also still working throughout the training with her career coach and with the business services representative. And the BSR finds a few jobs that are in line with this job training. And then eventually Whitney is able to find permanent employment where she's able to immediately apply the skills she just learned in that job training. So with that said, I know again, a lot of information, a few different scenarios. But yeah, this is just a sampling of some of the programs available at the AJCCs. The one that Whitney was a part of, we could say is likely Invest. Christina was part of LA Rise, which is also for individuals experiencing homelessness. Invest is for those individuals who are on probation. Prison to Employment is actually a broader program for individuals with a background at all, but it does have that temporary work experience component. And then the Youth at Work program as well. which is again for the residents ages 14 to 24. And I want to really note and emphasize here at the top of the screen, it says some of the programs available. Yes, this is just some of the programs available. Really, there are a number of programs, but we also, while it can help, we do want you to understand that the AJCCs are really meant to provide comprehensive services. So really it's about you going into the AJCC and saying these are the barriers. The career coach and the staff there are going to work behind the scenes to identify the programs that work best for you. So you don't need to remember these program names. You don't need to go in and say like, oh, what's this LA Rise program, or what's this Invest program, or what's Prison to Employment. There's a variety of them and they all have names, but really it's a complete service, and they try to limit that experience, and they use their partnerships and they leverage those relationships so that they can do all that work, and they can just say this, I think these are the best programs, these are the requirements. So really you're just going to come in with your list of barriers, your requirements, whatever, and they're going to let you know what you need to do to get done what you need to get done. And so we'll answer some questions now, but first I just want to go over, if you have any questions, just stay connected to us. I know Oleg earlier in the chat shared the WEDAX website, but there's actually a website specifically for our workforce development and our AJCCs, which is workforce.lacounty.gov. We'll be launching, actually, we're right on the cusp of launching a new website, which is going to be completely redesigned, easy to navigate, and basically give you all the information that we've given you here today, plus more. I'm not quite approved to share that URL because it's live but not publicly launched. There's a whole thing around it, but that will be launched very soon. Really easy to navigate, easy to use. You can email us at ajccjobs@wedax.lacounty.gov, which is which is also a great resource. You can just email and say, this is where I live, these are some of my barriers, they'll get you connected. Even for those, I saw some popping up, and we'll answer those questions, but I saw some popping up, like the question for the Bay Area. I saw someone with Ventura County as well. Email this email address and someone will get back to you and get you connected. Or if you a little bit more old fashioned, you just want to use the phone, there's an 888 toll-free number that you can call. And again, you can just talk to them about your needs and your barriers, and then also as well as your location, and they'll connect you with the nearest AJCC. And for all the latest updates, follow us. It's at county, the number 2 work, so county to work, on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, and Twitter. Same handle for all of them. You can follow us anywhere. I'll leave this slide up for now, and then I think Oleg.
And so that brings us to the end of our program. And once again, I appreciate Christian. Thank you, Anna Sylvia, and I appreciate everybody who has been here. May the 4th be with you.
May the 4th be with you. Thank you, everyone. Thank you. Thank you.